Welcome back to Gadgets Pod. In our previous video, we unboxed and set up the Waveshare PoE M.2 HAT Plus on the Raspberry Pi 5. We successfully tested the PoE functionality of the Waveshare PoE M.2 HAT Plus, verifying its seamless integration with the Raspberry Pi 5. Today, we're taking it a step further by installing and testing an M.2 NVMe SSD on this amazing expansion board. Let's see how this SSD upgrade boosts performance and simplifies your Raspberry Pi setup. Stick around for the full walkthrough. Welcome to Gadgets Pod, where every review is backed by real use and tested insights. From smart tech to the latest gadgets, we bring you hands-on reviews you can trust. This is Gadgets Pod, tried and tested. Now, let's understand how to mount, install, and set up the NVMe SSD on this PoE M.2 HAT Plus step by step. Let's begin by unboxing the SSD for this setup. I'm using the EVM M.2 NVMe PCIe Gen 3x4 2230 256GB SSD, a compact yet powerful storage solution designed to elevate your computing experience. This cutting-edge solid-state drive combines the latest NVMe technology with a PCIe Gen 3x4 interface, offering exceptional speed, reliability, and efficiency, all in a sleek M.2 2230 form factor. This SSD is perfect for enhancing the performance of your Raspberry Pi 5, with its 256GB storage capacity and high-speed data transfer capabilities, ensuring smooth operation and efficient boot times. Now, let's mount the SSD onto the Waveshare PoE M.2 HAT Plus. Carefully align the pins of the EVM SSD with the M.2 slot on the HAT Plus. Insert the SSD at a slight angle until it fits snugly into the slot. Secure the SSD in place using the provided screw. SSH via command line or SSH client, or through the VNC viewer for graphical desktop access. Today, we will open terminal directly on Raspberry Pi itself. First, we'll edit the configuration file by running the following command: sudo nano/boot/firmware/config.txt to enable the PCIe port. At the bottom of the file, add the following lines: param equals PCIe X1. Once done, save the changes and close the editor by pressing Ctrl-O and then Ctrl-X. Enter the command sudo reboot to restart the system and apply the changes. Now that the NVMe SSD is recognized as a storage device after enabling the PCIe port, we'll proceed to flash it with Raspberry Pi OS. And this time, we'll do it directly on the Raspberry Pi 5 itself. Go to the Raspberry Pi Start menu, navigate to Accessories, and select Imager. In the Imager interface, choose your device, which in this case is the Raspberry Pi 5. Next, click on Select OS and choose the desired operating system. For this tutorial, we're selecting Raspberry Pi OS 32-bit. Finally, select the storage option, which will now include your newly installed NVMe SSD. Select it from the list. Once all options are set, click Next. The system might prompt you with a warning message that all data in the SSD will be erased. Confirm by pressing Yes. You will be asked to authenticate before proceeding. Enter your Raspberry Pi login credentials and continue. The OS writing process will now begin. This may take a while, so it's the perfect time for a quick coffee break. Once the process is complete, you might be prompted to authenticate again. After that, your NVMe SSD will be fully set up and ready to act as the new boot device. Next, we need to configure the Raspberry Pi to prioritize the NVMe SSD during boot. For this, we'll edit the bootloader's configuration. Run the following command: sudo rpie promconfig edit. In the file that opens, locate the boot order line and modify it as follows: boot_order equals 0xf416. Add the following line below: PCIe_probe equals 1. Once the changes are made, press Ctrl+O to save, followed by Ctrl+X to exit. Now, the system will prompt for a reboot. Run the following command to restart your Raspberry Pi. Sudo reboot. Now for the moment of truth. Watch for the indicator lights on the Pi and the HAT Plus to confirm the connection. Shortly after, the Raspberry Pi should boot from the SSD, as seen on the monitor. Success! You can now remove the microSD card from the Raspberry Pi, as it will boot directly from the installed NVMe SSD. And that wraps up our walkthrough of unboxing, installing, and setting up the EVM M.2 NVMe SSD on the Waveshare PoE M.2 HAT Plus for the Raspberry Pi 5. We successfully booted the Raspberry Pi from the SSD, achieving a powerful and clutter-free setup. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more tech content. Also, feel free to drop any questions or feedback in the comments section below. Thanks for watching Gadgets Pod, and see you in the next one. This is Gadgets Pod, tried and tested.